You're how we feeling, how we doing, how we looking, people? As y'all trickle in, what's happening, y'all? Make sure y'all drop a like, subscribe. We're gonna be talking about everything that's going on, that's happened this weekend. People that got new contracts, people got restructured contracts. What's that mean for my rankings, for everyone on the team? And we're going to be doing a mock draft right after that. And we're going to be grading somebody's team as well that is part of our community. If you want your team graded, all you have to do is sign up at flockfantasy.com using our promo code LAND. I'll put that in the chat right now for you guys. Go there, sign up 30%, get 30% off at sign up, and then you can get one of your teams, either redraft or dynasty team, graded. And we're going to be grading a dynasty team today, if I'm not mistaken. So shout out to you guys. Comment down below what I want to hear you guys' thoughts of everything. Right? Let's just go straight into it. Let's get straight. You know, I know you guys want to hear everything. Obviously, it's a week, Monday morning for us, still Sunday night. Still a lot of people that are in contract talks, like someone like a Saquon Barkley. And then obviously the biggest news today is DeAndre Hopkins signs with the Tennessee Titans. And what does that mean for us, right? What does that mean in our rankings? What does that mean for a lot of people? So I'm going to pull this up right now. DeAndre Hopkins, 3-time All-Pro wide receiver, signs with the Tennessee Titans on a 2-year deal worth $26 million up to $32 million. That is a lot. So clearly he is signing with the Titans. Clearly he has a vision. Maybe they sold whatever that he was trying to talk about. Obviously, we all heard it on that podcast, or I think wherever he was on, saying that he wanted to be with a quarterback that loves football. He wanted to be on a contending team. He just wanted to go to a team where I think he can felt to be utilized and try to win a Super Bowl. Honestly, I don't see that being the Titans to go out and win a Super Bowl. I think they can compete. I think they've always had a good team. But without a doubt, without a doubt, I do believe he can impact this team. He can make this team a playoff contender. I'm not necessarily sure if they're a Super Bowl contender. Definitely a playoff contender now. A team that I can easily see, win a lot of games now in this division. Obviously with the Jags, and obviously the Texans. They're really the only competition for them is the Jags right now, in my personal opinion, with Trevor Lawrence. But DeAndre Hopkins, I think, is a good pickup here. Let me just see. I want to see his contract and what that kind of looks like. Let me see. Maybe it's up here a little bit. Um. Okay, no, 3 million in incentives. I wonder how much he's getting paid on this first year. Let's see. DeAndre Hopkins, Titans. 2-year. I mean, does anyone have it? Let's type in Ian Rappaport. But yeah, I mean, look. I just saw a breakdown. Here we go. Are giving 2 years, 26 million, worth 32. He'll have a base of 12 million in year 1 with a chance to get 15 million. If I am not mistaken, that is less than OBJ in his first year. I mean, OBJ got what, an $18 million contract? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong there. Odell Beckham contract. Here we go. I'll put contact, not contract. Imagine they just have his phone number. Yeah, OBJ got 15 million, average annual salary of 15 million. And I think if I'm not mistaken, it can go up to 18. So that is significantly better than OBJ got a better deal, obviously, in the 1 year. But obviously, I put a poll in the chat here as well. Burks or Chig worth drafting? Obviously, Zach has been a massive advocate for Treylon Burks. And, oh, okay. My other PC parts are coming today, guys. But yes, Zach has been a massive advocate for Treylon Burks. I know this is not something that he was hoping for, not something that he wanted, but, you know, we have to be realistic. We have to understand what that looks like now. So it's either is Burks or Chig worth drafting. It looks like a lot of people, I mean, vote in the poll now, but 58% of you guys think Burke is not worth drafting. Oh no, Burks is still worth drafting. Not Chig. So a lot of you guys are putting more value into Treylon Burks still over Chig Okonkwo. Look, let's break it down from the top. Let's go from the quarterback position. Ryan Tannehill, he obviously gets a weapon. Now he has an AJ Brown type of caliber player. Someone say even better than AJ Brown. Obviously an older wide receiver, knows how to handle the workload, knows how to impact an offense without a doubt. Right now, you go to the running back position and Derrick Henry. I've always been a massive advocate for Derrick Henry. He's my RB3 now in my redraft rankings. I know he was going as RB8, RB7 in the community. I personally think this helps Derrick Henry because as much as they were stacking the box already, now you have to really account for DeAndre Hopkins, who normally gets double teamed. So no doubt in my mind, Derrick Henry is going to eat and picked off right where he left off, having the ability to finish as a top 3 running back, still having over 300 attempts on the ground. I still think Derrick Henry, if anything, this improves his value. I would say in the community, I think in the community he's going around RB8. Once again, RB8, RB7. I think people are going to see that, and I think that's going to rise. Sometimes we saw him going in the end of the 3rd round. Zach got him, I think, a week ago now, in the 4th round. And I think he is easily, in my mind, he should be going in the 1st round, but I know easily we can see him going in the 2nd round for sure coming into this year. Now the wide receiver position, obviously this affects Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks already from the jump, in my personal opinion, I wasn't a massive advocate for Treylon Burks, not somebody that I truly saw take a massive leap. I was really hesitant on Treylon Burks coming into this year. Yes, he was going to go into a lot of workload, a lot of targets, a lot of production, but I think there was going to be a lot of struggle on his part specifically. But maybe in a different turn, in a different perspective, this could help Treylon. Hey, he's going to have a lot more one-on-ones. He's going to have a lot more opportunities where people are really focusing on DeAndre Hopkins. So I think there's 2 different perspectives there. You take away the 120, 130 plus targets we were hoping for Treylon Burks to have. Now maybe more to 80 to 95. I think he can still push 100. So there's definitely a perspective, without a doubt, that you can, and a narrative that you can write for Treylon Burks. He still doesn't rise in my rankings. I don't think he's going to fall, because right where I have him placed is kind of where I feel truly comfortable taking. I'm not necessarily sure if I'm going to be taking him any lower than where he is right now in my rankings. And then obviously Chig Okonkwo. What does that mean for Chig? Third round, fourth round draft pick. We saw, once again, another guy stepping into opportunity, and no doubt in my mind, he is going to be affected. I think if anyone is truly impacted, is going to be Chig. Chig is either going to see, we're going to see a pathway where Chig is completely irrelevant, or they are so focused on DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks, and Derrick Henry that Chig is just going to be this fantasy god. I don't think there's an in-between. I don't think there's going to be, well, he can still finish as a top, a tight end 8, 9, 10. I think it's either high ceiling or very, very low floor for Chig right now. That's my perspective. I want to hear your guys' perspective. I see you guys talking in the chat. It says, I'll still draft Burks, just not until later on. Joshua says, I think it's actually good for Burks. They won't able to double team him through zone coverages anymore. Tannehill loves his checkdowns. Won't affect him negatively. That's fair. It won't affect Chig negatively. Oh, you talking about Chig? Okay. Sure, I'll take the volume for Burks, but I'll also take the coverage from him. It opens up the middle of the field for Chig. Packs their offense either. Yeah. Okay. So you guys are kind of up in the air right now. I kind of feel like it's not a true sense. Obviously, it's still very early. You still don't know the pathway. You still don't know what that's going to look like. I think as we get closer and closer to the weeks, as we hear the reports of Ryan Tannehill really, building a chemistry with DeAndre Hopkins, or vice versa, we're going to be seeing that coming a lot more. Right, so it's going to be interesting. I think DeAndre Hopkins is easy. We're going to, right now, if I'm not mistaken, he was going around the middle to the end of the fourth. Sometimes you can get him in the fifth for a good value. I do believe now he jumps up to the high fourth round to the late third round. A lot of people are going to feel a lot more comfortable drafting DeAndre Hopkins in a redraft perspective, and especially best ball as well. The next guy I want to talk about, Evan Ingram. I mean, I guess we kind of expected this. Signs 3-year deal, $42 million with the Jags. That's really good in a dynasty perspective. If you have Evan Ingram, you kind of hold on to him. You kind of understand, hey, I can really build with Evan Ingram for the next couple of years, and he's going to be my tight end with Trevor Lawrence, which is a really, really good thing if you are in a dynasty league. A redraft perspective doesn't really matter, obviously. It doesn't really impact anyone long-term or short-term, in my opinion. And then in the redraft perspective, Joe Moneybag Mixon is staying with the Bengals. He's a guy that I bought, saying that he could be a massive league winner, top 10 in attempts in the red zone. I think that's going to continue with this offense. I think he's going to continue to skyrocket in value, and especially in the redraft perspective. A lot of people were fading Joe Mixon. I truly believe we're going to be seeing him rising up draft boards. We're going to be seeing him not going for value anymore. Sometimes you saw him going at the end of the third, all the way down to the late fourth. Let me double check that actually. Let me just look at some history here, and you guys can probably see this. Let's see our last mock draft here. Before I put my foot in my mouth, let's see where Joe Mixon went. He went in the 4-10, so end of the fourth. So excuse me, he went in the end of the fourth. Let's see where he went a couple days before that. Joe Mixon, fourth round. Okay, I personally think we can see him going in the third round now. I think a lot of people are going to feel a lot more comfortable drafting Joe Mixon over Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker. I don't think they're going to draft him over Jahmyr Gibbs, but I think we can see him going into the early fourth now, especially with this contract restructure. A lot of more people are going to feel a lot more comfortable going with Joe Mixon there. So I think that's about it for the news. I'm trying to see Jordan Love. Tony Pollard, obviously not expected to reach a long-term deal in a redraft perspective. It's not too big of a deal. But in Dynasty, you were really hoping that deal can get done if you were someone that bought into Tony Pollard. That's about it. Jordan Love has earned trust in locker room. I don't think that's a big deal right now. That's about it. That's about it right now. I love Joe Moneybags. Let me see what everyone's saying. Says I have Chig and hate it. Brandon said that's hey, look, it sucks. And, if Zach was here, you already know how passionate he would have been, how upset he would have been. He would have either been advocating for it. I know for sure he hates it, without a doubt. He hates this move. Everything that DeAndre Hopkins said that he wanted out of a team, the Tennessee Titans is not the team that we expected that to be. Another big winner here, by the way, and maybe this is a little victory lap for me, Elijah Moore. We're in the clear, baby. We are in the clear, skyrocketing to the moon. One of my biggest fears for DeAndre Hopkins was him going to the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, he has history with Deshaun Watson, and I was scared. I truly was scared. I didn't want him to go there. I didn't want any part of that. And this is a massive, massive win for Elijah Moore and the Elijah Moore believers out there like myself. So I think this is a good opportunity to still. Now we're going to see Elijah Moore rising because there's no one on the waiver wires right now. I mean, Julio Jones is still out there, if I'm not mistaken. Kenny Golladay is still out there, if I'm not mistaken. I can't really think of anyone else. But Elijah Moore is a massive winner. I mean, even every other team, right? Kadarius Toney's a big winner. Sky Moore. We talked about going to the Bills. To the Chiefs. The Bills. I mean, if you're still a Gabe Davis believer, a Dalton Kincaid believer, we thought he was going to go there as well. I can't really think of. I think Carolina was also a team that DeAndre Hopkins was going to go for. Had an option to go to as well. I think that is huge, big winners for all those teams right now. Obviously, a massive, massive loss for Treylon Burks and Chig. I mean, literally two guys Zach was massive on Treylon Burks, and we were both massive on Chig Okonkwo if DeAndre Hopkins wasn't going to go to this team. And now we see him going to this team, and we're both taking losses there. So that's really, really unfortunate. Mighty Booch was happening. It's a D-Hop to take 22, not necessarily a lot later, but it might be a deal breaker for me if I'm stuck between him and another player, right? 25% target share. How much time did they pass last year? I mean, that's a good question, right? I mean, the thing is, even when they did pass, I think the way I see this is this offense struggled last year because there weren't true weapons. You had Robert Woods, who was struggling. You had, at the time, that didn't really show too much promise. You had Nikiti Westbrook-Ikini, who didn't show too much promise either. He's just a guy. No offense to these guys. And Treylon Burks, who was a rookie, who was struggling, right? Struggling to catch the ball. Ryan Tannehill sometimes was overthrowing him, was not on the same page. So it's going to be really interesting to see what that looks like. I think this DeAndre Hopkins is going to get the targets, but I honestly think he's going to get the A.J. Brown type of workload. That's exactly what we were hoping for Treylon Burks, the A.J. Brown workload, right? The 7 to 8 to 9 targets per game. DeAndre Hopkins easily is going to get that here. So I'm really interesting to see that big money back to the moons. Let's go. Talk it up. Jordan Love to the moon as well. Percent 45 is 14. 114. Okay, so are you talking about the targets there, Mighty Booch? I'm a little bit confused. I'm not necessarily sure. 290 passing attempts towards bottom of the league. Right, okay. So you're talking about the passing attempts and what that looks like, 25% of those passing attempts. Right, okay. That makes sense. Zach is on vacation crying as a grown man. Good point about Elijah Moore. I think the jury's still out. Elijah will find success again. Yeah, I agree, Styles. I really agree. I think a lot of people are split, are either all on board or there's like, they're kind of on the fence. I don't think anyone is completely out on Elijah Moore unless they're massive Donovan Peoples-Jones believers, to be completely honest. The only people I've seen out on Elijah Moore are DPJ people. So let's see what that looks like. Zach is kicking the air right now for sure. Yeah, I know. I wonder if he tweeted out anything. Normally he would tweet out something and let's see what Zach said. Sometimes he's really good on Twitter. Here we go. Julio Jones, Randy Moss, Andre Johnson here. DeAndre Hopkins signing with the Titans. That's funny. It's like, it's true though. Think about it. Think of all the people that have went there. Think of everyone that has went to the Titans and why, like, that's always Julio Jones went. We were like, okay, this could be good. AJ Brown, Julio Jones, Derrick Henry. This is it. Right? This could be the year they contend. don't. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's a tough. He is tight right now. Let me see if he said anything else about Treylon Burks. No. Hey, thank you so much for the super chat, Crime Lord. We'll get to that question in a second. But yeah, I mean, it's just unlucky. It's unlucky for Zach and his take. Obviously, it's a massive risk. I think once DeAndre Hopkins got dropped, and that was like one of the top teams coming for one of the top teams that was going for DeAndre Hopkins with the Titans, he said, I hate that with every part of my being. So it's unfortunate that actually panned out in the opposite way for him. Crime Lord said, which side? Once again, thank you so much for the super chat, Crime Lord. We really appreciate you. Love Olave a 24 third or Tua Godwin 25 first. So Jordan Love, Chris Olave in a 24 third or Tua Godwin in a 25 first. I think, first of all, it depends where that 25 first is going to be. At this very moment, if I had to accept that, I'm going Love and Olave with the upside of Chris Olave. I love Chris Godwin personally. But I think Love has a 2-year deal. Olave is a top 10 wide receiver for me right now. As much as I love Tua, I want to kind of lean on that Love and Olave side. I think if if Godwin player was like a George Pickens, a Jahan Dotson, a Zay Flower, I'm more leaning towards that Tua and the 24 first side. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. All right, guys, if you guys want to join a mock draft, which I'm going to be doing right now, all you have to do is join our Discord. Let me see if I can go. And I did make a mock draft. Is this it right here? I made a mock draft, and it is nowhere to be found. So let me just double check if I click on this. Okay. As I will tell you how to get into the mock draft first, and then I'll create the mock draft. That can work for everyone here, right? If you guys want to join a mock draft, all you have to do is join our Discord. Link in the description below, and link is going to be in the chat here very soon. Once you go to our Discord, all you have to do is go to the Fantasyland tab on the far left, go to content releases, and that's exactly where I'll be dropping the link to the mock draft every time we do a mock draft on our redraft channel or our dynasty channel. We're going to see where these ADP has gone, where people feel a lot more comfortable drafting Treylon Burks, Chig Okonkwo, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, even Elijah Moore, to be completely honest with you. So keep that in mind. I'm going to pick the A spot. Let me just change this. What's today's the 17th for me? PPR 12 team. We're gonna do 30 seconds, and we're only gonna go to round. Let's go to round 10. We're not gonna do too many rounds today, just because I do have a team to grade right after this. So once again, join our Discord. Link in the description below. A link in the chat as well. Go to the Fantasyland tab. Go to content releases, and that's exactly where I'll be posting the link. 3, 2, 1. There you go. That is the link to the mock draft is out. Make sure you guys join. Hugh Values in Dynasty, right? Leaving 32 passing attempts. Who else beside Burst takes anything? A few games to Henry. Right, okay. Okay, Mighty Bush, that makes sense. Gator fan saw a glimpse of the articles that Gibson wants to be used more as a wide receiver this year. Yeah. I mean, I won't be surprised, completely honest. I will not be surprised if he will be utilized as a wide receiver this year. It's expected. That's what we all expect to happen this year, especially with Eric Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator. One more spot here, guys. Team 3. All right. Oh, no. Team 10. Team 10. One more spot. Elijah Moore should be paying for the hype. I hope he's good this year for both of your sake. Yeah, look, I love Elijah Moore, Dennis. Been Elijah Moore fan since day one, since he's coming out of college in Ole Miss. Just got got put into a really bad opportunity in the first half of his career. All right. Once again, 30 seconds on the clock. Non-tight end premium. You guys know what it is. We're only going to go to round 10. Let's go to round 10, see what that looks like. 30 seconds on the clock. Let's do what we do. It's going to be a quick one today. Yes. Pull one out for Zach. Biggest Treylon truther I know. Yeah. It's tough, Styles. Once again, it's unfortunate as well. It's just unfortunate. No one expected it to happen. Not that we didn't expect it. It was a place that we didn't want him to go. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs. I don't care what happens to Kadarius Toney. I don't care what happens to Sky Moore. DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs. That's next level, right? I mean, there was a little point in time DeAndre Hopkins can come to the Giants. That would have been nice. But it's just so weird because everything he said in that interview is just not true. I just felt like it wasn't true. So I'm just confused on why he did that. I think Travis Kelce falls to me at the 1-8 here. I'm taking him every single day. So Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CMC, Tyreek Hill, Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson, Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce off the board. Now Jordan House is on the clock. Yeah, still Burks long term, but not this year. I think what's going to happen, Styles, if DeAndre Hopkins truly makes a massive impact this year for his 1 year on the Titans, Bijan Robinson. I always get it confused, man. Even I did a trade video, man, and I talked about Brian Robinson the whole time, and it was actually Bijan. Just really bad. My mind automatically goes to Brian Robinson because that's what Brian Robinson was all last year. It was Brian Robinson. Anyways, what I was saying was that I'm interested to see what that looks like going into next year, Styles, because if let's just say Treylon Burks doesn't surpass 90 targets this year, over 500 to 700 yards, question marks for Treylon Burks, what that looks, because not only is Ryan Tannehill in question, is Will Levis going to come? Do you want Will Levis with Treylon Burks? CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra off the board. Look at these wide receivers. Look at these running backs. 30 seconds is really fast. I'm going to go Jalen Waddle here without a doubt. Travis Kelce, Jalen Waddle, I think is a great start. Juju Smith, low-key, yeah, winner today. I would agree there. Everyone is a winner outside of Treylon Burks and Chig, unfortunately. I mean, I said it earlier. Derrick Henry is a massive winner, in my opinion, today as well. If everyone that was questioning him and questioning what that was going to look like for for Derrick Henry, excuse me. So, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Tannehill career completion percentage at 64. Even if Treylon Burks and Chig each get 100, say Hopkins gets closer to 30% targets, you're looking at 65%, 600 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's right. Are you talking about for Treylon Burks specifically, Mighty Booch, or are you talking about DeAndre Hopkins? You're talking about Hopkins. Say DeAndre Hopkins gets close to 30%. Right. I mean, I think with a caliber guy like DeAndre Hopkins, I think you kind of have to question if they are going to change this offense a little bit more past. I mean, they should, because one of the biggest concerns this year for a lot of people was, if I'm not mistaken, they do have a new offensive coordinator. And that is a huge, huge change there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I think it's Tim Kelly. Let me see. Yeah, he was elevated from to be the offensive coordinator from the passing. From last year, he was a passing game coordinator. Okay, so I mean, look, the offense is going to change. What does that look like, though? But I think he knows this model. It's not like he came from outside of the building; he's coming from inside. So that's interesting. The stat lines for Treylon Burks as a ceiling, yeah, that's not okay. That ceiling is not okay for Treylon Burks, and that's literally why I was just talking about 65. You know what I say? I think I said 90, 600, or 60 to 75 targets or receptions. 500 to 900 yards. I know that's a big gap, but yeah, that's not sexy. Like, I'm looking at that next year going into his year 3, and that's his ceiling. What am I doing with Treylon Burks, right? I mean, there's so many people that maybe bought him for a first round, a late first, early second. Maybe did some swaps or whatever the case may be, because in the community he's pretty low. Let's actually check that out, because in a dynasty perspective, I wonder if that's going to change. I'm on the clock here. Okay. I think I want to go wide receiver here. See, like, now I still feel more comfortable taking like Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper over DeAndre Hopkins right now. But before, Hopkins was going after Terry, after DJ. We saw him going after Drake London at times. I'll take Keenan Allen here. Let's look at Burks, Treylon, where he's at in the wide receivers here, and if he has fallen already in a dynasty perspective. Burks, okay, wide receiver 26 right now. Let's see if that's going to rise. Wow, I mean, wide receiver 23, he's wide receiver 28. So he's dropped significantly already in the last couple of hours, as, once again, the wide receiver 23 all the way down to the wide receiver 28. And I think that he can be falling significantly. And he was a first-round pick. It's going to be a struggle for Burks, man. It's going to be hard to argue if Burks can get even that base stat line that you said, Mighty Booch. Even that base stat line, honestly. Okay, so Jahmyr Gibbs, Najee, Etienne, Walker off the board. I mean, I think this is where I'll take Joe. Without a doubt, 4-5. That feels comfortable. I know he's going to be on the team. He's my RB1. He's finished as a top 10 guy in the past couple years. He got a lot more work on the goal line, a lot more passing opportunities. Obviously, Samaje Perine is no longer there. I'll take Joe Moneybags. Anyone could be a better OC than Todd Downing. The guy was calling plays and going on benders. Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Meant to take Etienne. Who'd you take? Gibbs? That's okay. That's not terrible. Yeah, insane. Hey, you got lucky for sure. Really were a move for Tennessee, in my opinion. They really think they got a shot with Levis, or does it solidify Tannehill? I think, if this is my perspective, Double L, I would agree with Steven. They just don't want to get fired. I would say this. If Ryan Tannehill, I mean, let me just refresh my memory on what this team did last year and their record. Because I think, yeah, they were bad. But if I'm not mistaken, they weren't terrible. They went 7-10 last year. And I think at some point in time, they also were in the playoff window, a playoff contention, obviously because of this division. Number two, you have to remember, once again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't remember Ryan Tannehill. I think Ryan Tannehill was injured in the second half of the season. That's why we saw Malik Willis start. That's why we saw Joshua Dobbs come in, because Tannehill had some sort of injury. And if we would have seen Tannehill play, do they win those games? Do they make it to the playoffs? I don't think the problem, in my opinion, is Tannehill. I think the problem was that they didn't have the weapons. It was always Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown. Who else? Right? You had the Corey Davis stint. Didn't work out. Right? You bolt the Julio thing in. Didn't work out. Was it because Julio was injured and it was already done past his prime? I mean, there's so many different ways. Offensive line, yeah, it could be the offensive line. I don't think Tannehill is the number one problem on the team, unlike we see with other teams, right? You know, like for example, the Jets. We saw with Zach Wilson. We knew Zach Wilson was a problem. You know, you get what I'm saying? We saw with the Broncos. Was it really Russell Wilson, or was it the head coach? You know, I don't think it's Ryan Tannehill. I just think that they're missing still a lot of pieces. And the offensive line did struggle, but they're getting a lot. They got a lot of new pieces. They got Peter Skoronski this year. Some people will arguably say one of the best offensive linemen in the league, or in the NFL draft. Okay. So Drake London, DJ Moore, Watson Terry, and then you got J.K. Dobbins. I like that pick there. Hollywood Brown. Where did DeAndre Hopkins with the 4-4? Okay. I'll take Brandon Ayuk here. I'll take Brandon Ayuk. But you guys let me know. Let me know if you have any Tennessee Titans fans. I said I'm a Titans fan. Here we go. I'm a Titans fan. 50% of the issues was Todd Downs playing calling, but once the one went down again, he was getting destroyed with pressure. Right, Lawan. Thoughts on the start so far? Big Breakfast said, where you at? Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Hurts, Aaron Jones, George Kittle. I think George Kittle is just way too early there, in my opinion. I would have gone T.J. Hawkins over George Kittle, number one. Number two, I would have liked to seen, another wide receiver there on your team. Christian Kirk at the 5'11", okay? But for me, look, I've kind of been on the side of me avoiding Devontae Adams. Where did he go here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So right now he's my wide receiver 13, and I have him after T. Higgins. But I do have Tony Pollard higher in, my top 24 ranking. So I would have taken Tony Pollard over Devontae Adams, because I've kind of been off him at the moment. But I'm still contemplating between T. Higgins and Adams, and seeing if I should be taking Devontae Adams over T. But look, at the moment is a good start. Jalen Hurts at the 3-4, really good as well. Deontay Johnson is a good pick at the 6-2. Look at these running backs. So James Conner, Cam Akers. Was not expecting Akers to go there. Was not expecting him to go, because that's who I would have taken. And I'm going to take Alexander Madison here. I normally don't take Madison. I want to see how this feels. According to my rankings, I should have went Swift. But I really wanted to, let's just see how this pans out and how my team feels with Joe Mixon and Madison on my team. Said Tennessee is close to contenders people think. They won the AFC title game a few years ago with similar core. They can take the division at the rate. Look, I think so as well, Styles. Completely agree. I completely agree that, and I think that's why I said, I still believe they're contenders. I said this, I think, early in the offseason. I was like, well, I think Zach and I were having a conversation about this division and about, how we see the AFC South kind of panning out. And I said, yeah, the Jags can definitely. I think Jags are the easy favorites, but I don't think we need to count out the Tennessee Titans, right? I don't think we can personally. I think we need to really understand that they have a good team. They have a good head coach. Their quarterback is not irrelevant. Their running back is not irrelevant. Now, we were talking about this, at the time, we're saying, well, if we're really believing in Treylon Burks and Chick to have this big jump, we can see that. But now with DeAndre Hopkins, I think they can win this division. But I do believe the Jags are heavy favorites to win this year without a doubt. Said Burks is dead. Chiggs already is all right. Basically get him for a waiver wire pickup. Yeah, that makes sense. Grandma wants to no stress. Between Madison and Fields, that makes sense. Yeah, I would have drafted Cam Akers there. I'm glad. I don't know if I'm upset about that though, because I was thinking about taking Cam Akers at the 5'8" and then hoping Deontay Johnson falls to me at the 6'5", but I'm kind of happy I went Brandon Ayuk there. Madison's going to be this year. Chase Edmonds, and isn't he? I think people are overvaluing him in Dynasty. Now, I really hope he doesn't become how bad Chase Edmonds was, because this is the thing. Chase Edmonds has carried I don't want to say significantly larger workload than Alexander Madison in the past, but we've seen Chase with the starting job for multiple weeks, and really didn't pan out to anything. We haven't really seen that from Madison. We've seen it in glimpses. One game won a game or two when Dalvin Cook hasn't been in, but now he is truly getting the workload, and I just think the narrative is a little bit different. So I'm really hoping that it's not that bad. So let's see. Double O says, I agree the Titans can contend, but I really don't think Levis will start this year after this move. I would agree there, Double L. I would agree there. It makes it hard to go with that narrative now. It makes it a lot more difficult to give Will Levis a pathway to get onto this field unless Ryan Tannehill is injured. And they tried that last year. They tried it with Malik, and Malik wasn't the guy. And then Josh came in, and he was significantly better. You really hope that Will Levis doesn't have the same pathway. Ooh. Okay. Let me just see on quarterbacks. I really like this guy. I bought him as a league winner, in my opinion, and that's Alvin Kamara. Going at the 7-8, my RB3, and he went as RB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Wide receiver or running back 28 in the community right there, or in this mock draft, and he's going in the community. I think it was on Underdog, their ADP. I think he is going as wide receiver 30, right? Running back 30. So I feel really comfortable drafting him here as my RB3. If he gets suspended for 2 weeks, that's okay. I got Joe Mixon and Alexander Madison for 2 weeks, and I'm probably gonna draft, a later running back, Jamal Williams, a Rashad Penny later, a Zach Charbonnet, someone that can fill in those gaps. But I think this is different perspective if he does get suspended for 6 weeks. So I like drafting Alvin Kamara here right now in a 2-game suspension scenario. We've seen, I've seen it on Twitter saying that Alvin Kamara can have obviously a minimum of 2 games or a maximum of 6 games. I've heard the fantasy football talk about like their prediction that is a 2-week suspension, which can really help you in a fantasy perspective. And I do believe when he does come back, he is going to be taking over the workload over Jamal Williams, and Kendre Miller. And I still get my guy. And I still get my guy. I don't know, man. Alvin Kamara RB3 is a flag plant and a half. Why is that? The Jason Dotson turn to a 6. Yeah, that's not bad. James Cook, I like that pick as well. I was going between James Cook or Elijah Moore. I think Elijah Moore just has so much more to offer for me on this team. Herbert Eckler stack. Going for RB, tight end early. I think I can come out decent. My wide receiver is not high upside, but I think they will have solid volume thoughts. Let's look at your team. CMC, Andrews, Devonta Smith, Damian Pierce, Miles Sanders, Michael Pittman. Look, I like the first 5 picks. I like the Pierce Sanders pick. I don't love the Michael Pittman, Mike Evans pick. They don't have the upside. I know you kind of mentioned that. I wish, Jahan Dotson, right? I would have taken Jordan Addison over Mike Evans. I would take Jordan Addison over Mike Evans. I don't know about Jackson Smith right now, but I think there's definitely a pathway. But so far, a good start. Never forget when Mike Davis going in the 5th round of redraft leagues. He won a couple weeks. I think the first couple weeks it was okay. I think it was just like first 2 weeks. Could be wrong. Never forget when Clyde was a top 5 pick. Hey, he was a top 15 running back last year. The first 7 games of the season. He could do it again. Styles, where you at? Styles. Stephon Diggs, Wilson. I mean, that's a great start already from the jump. Jerry Jeudy, Kirk, Deontay. I like it. I mean, you already know how I feel about Deontay Johnson. You know how I feel about Kirk and his value. I mean, you got him 2 rounds later. Then Calvin Ridley. Jerry Jeudy. I mean, he was my guy last year. There's an even better pathway for him this year. Travis Etienne at 311. Antonio Gibson, then Jamal Williams. This is what I would say. I like Antonio Gibson. I think I would easily take James Cook over Javonte Williams, excuse me. But obviously we would see that a little bit differently in the community because I'm a lot higher than James Cook. But overall, good start. I want to see how this team pans out, who your tight ends and quarterback is going to be. Gross pick. That's crazy, but I don't hate Clyde either. They just need to utilize him in the right way. That's the problem. Have they really utilized him in the right way? And has he made enough of his opportunities? And I don't think he's had. So maybe I'll take that away. They give him the opportunities. He hasn't used it in the right way. Number one. Number two, when they utilize him in the way we believe he should be utilized in the passing game, I think that makes him more fantasy relevant compared to a run stuffer in between the tackles like Isaiah Pacheco, who was significantly better in that area. But if he becomes the pass-catching guy who we were hoping for, I'll take Khalil Herbert here, who we were hoping for, I was hoping that Jerick McKinnon was going to re-sign because that means Clyde is really going to get the passing opportunity. But now that's kind of a bit shaky. But it's never like they start off with Jerick. They never start off with him. It's like, okay, we're going to go with Clyde, see how he goes first, and then if it doesn't work out, we go Jet. And then Jerick McKinnon just always does better. So I wonder if that changes this year a little bit, but I'm not necessarily sure. So I know how crazy this sounds. He straight went. I know it's crazy it sounds, but TBH, he's straight when he doesn't play. He doesn't need a lot of volume. He's got the hands, but the durability, man. Yeah, I would agree. won the Super Bowl without him. Hey, that's another narrative. They can easily cut him. I won't be surprised either. This is the last round, guys. Remember, and then I'm going to be grading a team right after this. And this will be the last one, and then I got to prep for the week. I'll just take a quarterback here. Who we got? We got any stacks here? Waddle. Is Tua available? Tua just went. Classic. Justin Herbert went. I'm not taking anyone from the 49ers. Watson went. You know what it is. Oh, you know what it is. Why can't I take him? Thank you. Yes, Ryan, we're doing underdog drafts this week. No stress. Just a little bit. I would say tomorrow we'll do an underdog draft. Yeah. See, we was telling you not to take Thomas. I was trying to click on his name. It just wasn't working. All right. As that's happening, guys, I'll plug in how to get your teams graded. If you guys want your redraft team or dynasty teams graded on a live stream, normally the live streams on Sunday night would normally be a team grade live stream, but since with all the breaking news, wanted to have a conversation, wanted to see the ADP and how things have changed, we kind of switched it up a little bit. But yes, if you want your team graded, all you have to do is sign up on flockfantasy.com. Go to flockfantasy.com, sign up by selecting the Mother Flocker tier, and then send us a screenshot. Send me a screenshot on Discord saying that, hey, I signed up with my team graded, and we can get that set for you. And I'm just going to end the draft here. So once you do that, once again, sign up at flockfantasy.com/land using our promo code LAND. Send me a screenshot on Discord, and we can get your team graded, either redraft or dynasty. We're doing them both. We're doing our dynasty grades on our redraft channel just because it's easier. Not too many people are wanting their team graded in a dynasty perspective right now because we did them all in the off season. So we're going to do a couple redrafts and some ones here. But let me just get this set up here and message. On the live stream now. Let me just get this and send that to him, and then we can get this on and popping. Not seeing the roster submission tab on the Discord, only see announcements. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Double L, you are a member of. Did you use our promo code LAN L? If not, send me a message on Discord, and I can get it checked out. If it's not there today, then I will have to get the support people to help you out. It's a little bit different now with us on Flock. We can't really we have to go through the support people rather than us doing it ourselves and changing it. So it's a little bit different the way things are done. All right, so let me pull up this guy's team here and kind of get this context as this is happening. We can kind of pull that roster submissions. Here we go, East Coast. Let me get his ID and kind of get this popping. Let me pull it up here. All right. Context. All right, guys, I need some advice. Superflex, tight end premium, 1.5 tight end points per reception. Start 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flex spots, 1 super flex. Second year league. I would like to go for it. I have a couple studs and a bunch of young assets I still have. All my picks, no extra picks. What moves can I make to put me in the best position to compete? Hey, East Coast, appreciate you so much. Thank you for the support. And let's get straight to the team here. Let's go to power rankings. And I'll get to any other questions, any other comments or concerns in Chris Santos, East Coast. Okay, awesome. Now that I know that you're here, this is amazing, man. I can kind of really just talk to you. Young buck. All right, so you want to compete. You have a couple young studs. and see what this looks like. So let's look at your team: Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, and you have a couple other quarterbacks: Sam Darnold, Malik Willis, Matt Corral. Look at the moment, really good start at the quarterback room. I would say if you want to compete, Lamar Jackson is definitely a guy you want to have. I think we have to hope and expect Russell Wilson can get back to this form that we have with Sean Payton as a new head coach. I like him as a QB2. I wish that QB2 was a little bit stronger. But let's talk about that as we break down the rest of the team and kind of really want to go into everything else first, because I do believe you can get another piece, potentially, I would say a stronger quarterback or maybe tier from Russell Wilson. But if not, then you might have to just ride with him. Running backs: Cam Akers, Rashad White, Roscoe. And then it kind of falls off here. Spiller, Dion, Kelly, Edmonds, Keyshawn. So right off the bat, this is not the best start in my opinion. As much as I love Cam Akers, as much as I love Rashad White, these aren't heavy hitters, contending running backs that you want to try and compete with. Especially, I'm assuming this team. I mean, especially look at this team: Bryce Young, Kenny Pickett, Aaron Rodgers, Bijan, Breece Hall. I mean, this team. Let me just look at be looking at players only, right? Starters only. So Jordan, yeah, Bijan. Wide receivers are significantly stronger. Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson, Kenneth Walker, James Cook. As much as I love Cam Akers and Rashad Wright, I'm not saying it's a terrible start. But if you want to compete, there's going to have to be some moves that you're going to have to make. Right now, I know Cam Akers, people don't want to invest in him. I'm a big believer in Cam. I do believe he could be a league winner. But if you just want to really compete and contend and go crazy, I know the fantasy community won't agree, but I love Cam Akers and Rashad White. I think he can have high PPR upside. But I think if you want to compete, maybe we would have to pivot a little bit. So let's see what we can do with draft picks we have. Wide receivers: Justin Jefferson, Jackson Smith and Digba, DJ Moore, Treylon Burks, Zay Flowers, Mike Williams, Mingo Mooney. Okay. So if I'm not mistaken, it was start 3 wide receivers. Yeah, start 3 wide receivers and 2 flex. So you have the opportunity to start up to 5 wide receivers. East Coast here, what we like to say is that I like to start wide receivers in my flex position, right? So the more wide receivers we have, we love to build around wide receivers. The more wide receivers we have, the more upside, in my opinion, we have compared to the rest of the league and or your league. So Justin Jefferson, Jackson Smith, DJ Moore, Treylon Burks, Zay Flowers essentially will be your starters, obviously with Mike Williams. It really depends on how Treylon Burks pans out. I think Justin Jefferson, Jackson Smith, in my opinion, are your non-negotiables. You're not moving them unless you get a haul for Justin Jefferson right now. But if you want to compete, I think you just might as well keep it and hold it and see what you can do here. And then tight ends are David Njoku, Mike Gesicki, Tucker Kraft, Zach Kuntz, Cameron Latu. Okay. Let me get my seat here because I really want to indulge in this. I'm just moving because I have a stand-up desk. All right, here we go. As that is going down, as it's all coming together, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson. Let me ask you this question, since you're in the chat. How bad do you want to compete? Is this something that you need to do right now? Or is this something that, you know what, let me just pivot this year. You'll try and do your best right now and maybe get more draft capital and maybe make some moves because you do have some good pieces. I'm not necessarily sure these are home run hitter pieces here. In my opinion, if we look at that, I mean, Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard with Khalil Herbert, CeeDee Lamb, DK, Stephon Diggs, Bateman, Hopkins. I mean, this is a tough team here. I mean, his tight ends are not the strongest. See, I think I'm a playoff team, but I'm not sure if I can win. Okay, let me just double check. Patrick Mahomes, Stroud, Geno. I mean, this team, Patrick Mahomes, Geno, Ramondre, Aaron Jones. Wide receivers, London, Hill, Watson, Tony, Laporta. So there's no like superstar team here. clearly on this, clearly just this one here, they're having Jordan as the superstar team, but they don't even have him starting a second quarterback. Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson, Josh Allen. I think this is, in my opinion, the strongest team here outside of the tight end position so far. That's your team. Patrick Mahomes. I mean, why would they have him starting? That would be Geno Smith. Tight ends are really weak for some of these teams here. Like, who has Travis Kelce? Justin Herbert, Kirk Cousins, Miles Sanders, Swifty. His wide receivers are the downfall. So this is an interesting league here because not too many people have home run hitting teams, which makes sense of why maybe I would say you believe you can compete. Kyler Murray only having one tight end starting here as well. So I now looking at your team in your league, I do believe you're a piece away from competing. Now let's find out. What we have to do is find this piece. Okay, so one more time, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson. I don't really think you need to really tier or move away from Russell Wilson right now. I think this could be a move that you can make. Let me just pull up another screen here so I can have it in my other screen so I can give you the best possible. So Russell Wilson, I think you keep, right? I think this is something that I would say that you could potentially do. I'm not necessarily sure somebody's out there depending on your league, but somebody I would love to pivot from in this perspective, if you don't believe in a Russell Wilson that I believe has just as good upside or even higher, especially with the team, I would say a Jared Goff. I would say a Daniel Jones, a Tua, but then you would have to give up, I would say, a second or a third for some of these players. But I think in the quarterback position will hold. So I think where I really want to pivot to is the running back position, because I think the running back position, I think in the running back position, it will be very interesting to get somebody else. As much as I love Cam Akers, and I believe he could be a winner, I'm not necessarily. I'm telling you this and saying if I'm wanting to compete today, I'm not necessarily sure he's going to be that piece. I am betting a lot on the against the grain here with this torn Achilles, with everything. So if I'm really trying to compete, I want another piece on my team. I want another home run hitting running back to really go out and compete here. Rachaad White, I think he can and will be this PPR monster. There's no one here to compete with him outside of Sean Tucker, who was undrafted, Keyshawn Vaughn, who you actually have. So you really have this backfield essentially solidified. But Rachaad White, I think I'm happy with the PPR upside. Now, what can we get for Cam Akers right now in this league? Because I did see one of this team does have a bunch of running backs. I think it was this team, right? What was the team that had like exactly? Can we get a James Conner? Can we get a James Conner and maybe send? We've seen Zach do it so many times, and send a third. Right? Can you get James Conner and send like one of your 24 thirds for James? And maybe in this guy perspective, he's rebuilding. Can we go out and get a? Let me see who else can we get here? Okay, I mean we can go out and get one of these big name hitting guys. But my question would be to you: do you want to give up your first? Because I think that can be can we go out and get an Alexander Madison? You know, I'm not willing to give up my first for Alexander Madison, but if I'm happy to give up my second for Alexander Madison. Can we go out and get a Damian Pierce, who I really like this year? He can finish as a top 12 guy. And Alvin Kamara, you can easily send a third for Alvin Kamara and have a competing team when he comes back from suspension. I kind of spoke about this a little bit earlier, saying that I love Alvin Kamara and him. If he does get suspended for 2 games, he's easily coming back and he has been a top 5 guy in targets for literally his whole career. Says I think you can get. Oh well, that's say I can get golf for Burks in a 24-second. Golf for Burks in a 24-second. I think you could do, personally. I think you can do that. Now, are we selling Burks too low right now off the rip because of the Burks trade? But I think getting golf is a phenomenal move. So I would say here's some targets. Once again, I just want to make sure I can go through every single team here and make sure I'm trying to find pieces, because this is what I truly believe. I think you should keep your first, Chris. You keep your first and you try to sell your seconds and your thirds to get these lower tier running backs that have high upside that can win you weeks and win you your league. So right off the rip, you're not getting anyone from this team. I would say an Aaron Jones feels really comfortable right now. You can send a third for Aaron Jones, even a late second, depending on how many seconds you have. You can go out and send and get, like I said, a David Montgomery. I like a David Montgomery and an Alvin Kamara. I'm not a massive Rashad Penny believer. And that already gives you the depth at the running back position with Cam Akers, Alvin Kamara, or David Montgomery or Travis Etienne. I know you said you don't mind doing Travis Etienne, if I'm not mistaken, unless that was somebody else. A Damian Pierce. I'm looking at those type of players that can give me more depth at the running back position to really give me this home run hitting running back room, right? Wide receivers, I think this is fine. Justin Jefferson, Jackson Smith, DJ Moore. Now, your top 3 is great. I think we need to work on your next piece here in who is going to be your wide receiver, because if I'm not mistaken, 3 wide receivers. You need a stronger wide receiver 3 here to really go out and compete. Pierce is definitely available. You're saying, okay, so try and get Pierce. I think this is what I would say. I would say this, Chris. I don't think Pierce should be the first person you should go out and get. I think you should go out and get all these guys at a lower price. Try and get the lowest guy you can right now that has the highest upside, like an Aaron Jones, like the Alvin Kamaras, before you go out and get the heavy hitter in your first round. Now, when you go from the first round, you go from the top and work your way down. Start at the Travis Etienne's. Start at who else? The Breece Halls or the Kenneth Walkers or the Josh Jacobs or Tony Pollards. Then work your way down to who you value more, to who you devalue, and then see where you can go. Because I think there's going to be a point where you're saying, dang, okay, so the guy that has Tony Pollard wants my first, but if I just give him my third or my second, I'll do it. Or my third or my first, he can do it. Then maybe you will value him a little bit more to do that, right? At the wide receiver position, Justin Jefferson, like I said, these top 3 are great. I'm not necessarily sure you have any value to go out and buy another wide receiver if we're going to be sending our second. This is what I would personally say. Buy your running backs with your second and third. Buy your running backs with your second and third pick. And then if you really want to use your first round pick, what you have to do is go out and get your heavy hitter wide receiver. And my heavy hitter wide receiver that I'm looking at, that I love, that maybe you have to overpay a little bit, right? Can you get a Jerry Jeudy in the first? Or can you get a Jerry Jeudy for a first? Can you get an Amon-Ra St. Brown? It might be a little bit, a bit too much. So let me just see who I can find here. I don't think you can get Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown. T. Higgins. I don't mind getting a T. Higgins for a first round. I'm not necessarily sure this guy is going to want to trade anyone. I mean, a Tyreek Hill with a lot of people question marks with his longevity of him retiring after his contract ends. I think a lot of people want multiple firsts. That's what I would say. So that might be a little bit more difficult. But wide receivers will be a lot more difficult because you have 5 wide receiver starts to acquire. A Jahan Dotson, I'm really happy to try and acquire, to go out and win right now. A Jalen Waddle, a Terry McLaurin. Ooh, maybe not Terry. I don't want to spend my first with Terry. Definitely Jahan Dotson. those are some people I would target. That's what I would say. I would personally pay a late first for Deontay Johnson, Jerry Jeudy. I think these are the two guys I love. I love Deontay coming into this year. I love Jerry Jeudy coming into this year. I would give a first for Jerry Jeudy, Chris. I definitely would. So keep that in mind. I don't want Brandon Ayuk right now. I mean, not right now. I wouldn't want to give him my first up, especially with the question marks. Amon-Ra, if you can get Jared Goff and then go out and get Amon-Ra, that would be sexy. But I think Amon-Ra is worth multiple firsts. So I think that just depends on that player and how they value Amon-Ra St. Brown. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the wide receiver position. So once again, you go out, you sell your running backs, or you buy your running backs for using your second and third. You go buy your extra stud wide receiver with your first round. And if you want to really go out hard and get a CeeDee Lamb and give up 2 firsts, do it. Get Garrett Wilson and get 2 firsts, do it. I think I'm not going to hesitate, because you are competing now and you're getting these high caliber foundational pieces. If you have Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb with Jackson Smith and Jigba and DJ Moore, you're chilling right there. And I think that would be phenomenal. And tight ends, I think it's fine with David Njoku, in my personal opinion. So I don't think you need to do that anymore. Do you think I'm a quarterback and a piece away from competing, or am I crazy? I think with the rest of your league, I think you are a piece or two away, because none of these teams are home run hitting. I think it just depends. Like, yes, Brian Robinson, Breece Hall. It depends on when Breece Hall comes back. If Breece Hall doesn't come back, he's struggling at that wide receiver position. Wide receivers are really strong for this guy, and Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Jordan Addison, George Pickens. He also has Elijah Moore, who I love. That's another guy you can go out and try and target, Elijah Moore, who I absolutely love. You can get him for a second. But he has T.J. Hawkinson and Dalton Kincaid. He has a bunch of tight ends, this guy. He's stacked with the depth, but top heavy, it's a little bit weak if Breece Hall is not there. So, second team, Geno Smith, Patrick Mahomes, Ramondre Stevenson, Aaron Jones. Like, if you get Aaron Jones away, who's his RB2, right? Historically, tight ends in the first year don't do so well. Drake London, Tyreek Hill, Christian Watson, and the depth kind of falls off here with Mike Evans. I mean, these are your top 2 teams, they're saying. Let me go to players only. Starters only, excuse me. I think, what does it have you here? It has you 4th. So, yeah, you can definitely have a team away. I mean, that definitely feels better. Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara feels better in competing team. Justin Jefferson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, DJ Moore with a Deontay Johnson, with an Amon-Ra St. Brown, with a Jerry Jeudy, that feels significantly better. Obviously Zay Flowers is going to do his thing his year 1, but if Treylon Burks is really not going to take a massive hit with DeAndre Hopkins, and it actually helps him, because there's definitely 2 narratives with Treylon Burks, which I kind of spoke about earlier. This can help. DeAndre Hopkins getting picked up can hurt him, or it can really, really help him in a way where they're all focusing on DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry, where Burks can see a lot of opportunity. So you have to hope for that narrative. So that's where I'm at. This is what I would say. I don't think you should go too crazy. If you can't get a quarterback that you like, don't go crazy. I'm okay with Russell Wilson trying to compete, but don't stretch it too much to get a Jared Goff. Don't stretch it too much to get a Tua. And if you get him on the low, if you do a swap, send Russell Wilson and your 24 second or your 25 second for Jared Goff, I'm happy. Then you buy Aaron Jones or Alvin Kamara with your 3rd. That gives you the depth. Then you use your 1st to get one of those high caliber top wide receivers to get. I mean, you just helped yourself with 3 different pieces. You tiered up in your quarterback. You got more running back depth with league winning upside, and you got a better wide receiver that is a league winning guy. once again, depending on the wide receiver you can get. And David Njoku, I like as, you know, a top 12 tight end there. So I'm not really worried about trying to go too crazy on a tight end position because I like him so far. So hopefully that's helpful, Chris. Yeah, so thank you for the feedback. That's very helpful. Yeah, let us know. And you have the hotline. So on the Discord, send us a message. Be like, hey, I got this offer. What do you think? Would you do this? And then I'll help you counter, or Zach and I will help you counter, whatever the case may be. So definitely keep that in mind. Don't hesitate to use your fantasy hotline. That's exactly what we're here for. And that we want to make sure you use your perks. I'm just going through. Did you post a link for these mocks and flock? Yeah, we already did, Filoni. Note down. All right. Well, if there's any more, let me know if you have any more last minute questions. If that is it, I will be done for today, and then I will be prepping for all this week's content for you guys, and we will be live tomorrow with. I think we're gonna do a best ball draft. We might do two. I might do a best ball draft and then a sleeper draft. But let us know. I'll put a poll in the chat tomorrow to let you guys know what I'm going to be doing or what you guys want to do. But once again, let me know if you have any last minute questions. But if not, I will head out and see you guys tomorrow. Okay. Last minute question here. Office Depot, how we doing, brother? In the Dynasty Superflex draft right now, already landed all the Eagles receivers: AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas. I got a trade one for diversity, right? Yeah, definitely. If I had a trade one, I would honestly try and sell AJ. You can get the most value for AJ right now. You could probably at least get 2 first, if I'm not mistaken. You could potentially get 2 first for AJ Brown. I'll keep Devonta Smith. He's a younger wide receiver. I'm also happy to sell Dallas Goedert depending on what tight end you can pivot from. But yes, definitely trade it for diversity. All right, y'all. All love. Appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Love.